We're gonna have yumcha today. Vegetarian yumcha. Vegetarian is a really big thing in Taiwan because a lot of Taiwan is rooted on Buddhism, which forbids people to eat meat. I believe there's also a movement in Taiwan where people are encouraged to eat one meat-free day a week. Considering how heavily yumcha or dimsum relies on meat, I'm very curious to see how they'll approach this one. We've already seen a pork-free yumcha, but let's see how there is with no meat at all. Let's go! Straight off the bat, the staff speaks decent English.
There's a huge queue outside as well waiting to get in, so I think a reservation is good. We booked using the online reservation system on their website, which was very easy to use. The first thing they asked us when we sat down was what kind of tea we wanted. They gave us 3 choices: pu'er, oolong, and jasmine tea. Already from previous experience, since this is vegetarian, we figured it's not going to be as greasy, so we went with the jasmine tea. They gave us this little thing, and when it comes, whatever side you put up is what they'll do according to the kind. Water, service, cleaning. If you want takeaway, or if you're happy with what you have. And that's a really cool non-verbal way of doing things. Which is a barbecue pork in pastry. The pastry is so light and crisp. You just have to like sink your teeth into it and it gives away immediately. That's a really, really good pastry. The filling is surprising. The char siu sauce is pretty similar. The meat, or the fake meat, it obviously doesn't have the flavor of pork, but it has a tofu substitute, which is not bad at all. It tastes so similar to some kind of meat that you wouldn't really think about it.
This one is the rice noodle roll filled with daylily and noodles. It sounds really interesting. I don't know what either of those would taste like. For some reason, the rice noodle wrap is not what you'd usually expect for dim sum. Even though the rice noodle is probably vegan, I'm surprised that they changed it in the first place. This one, it's almost like they used a glutinous rice flour, so it's a little bit sticky and squishy, almost like a very mild version of mochi. But I don't mind that. The vegetables, it's almost like eating mushrooms. It's got a bit of sour flavor, but it's nice and chewy. It doesn't seem to be imitating directly a specific rice noodle roll meat dish. It just happens to be a rice noodle roll with vegetables inside. I like this one quite a bit.
I'm trying the fried glutinous rice stuff. It's so light. The skin isn't super chewy. The mushrooms have a really nice savoriness. And it tastes like there's something slightly fermented in there. So it gives you a slightly funky, meaty flavor to it. I'm not actually missing the meat at all. I think the filling has a little bit of bamboo shoots in it, which is what makes it flavorful. But rather than the filling being the star, it seems to be the skin, which is so light. It's so thin, crisp on the outside with a slight chew on the inside. Honestly, so good. I'm gonna try the xiaolongbao before it gets cold. This one has loofah in it, which is a gourd, and I believe that's what's going to make it juicy. The thing with this xiaolongbao is that they're not trying to replicate it exactly. They're just trying to get a little bit of the juiciness that you would get from pork gelatin, and they've done that by putting the gourd in, which makes it sweet and a little crunchy, but it's very obviously not meat. I thought it would have another meat alternative like mushrooms. It just seems to be mostly loofah. Actually, as a dumpling, it's really good. The texture is really nice because it's a crunch in it, but not like your typical pork xiaolongbao at all.
I like the design on this. It's really funny. But it just makes me wonder if the filling to skin ratio is not the greatest when you see how much of this is just skin. I'm not gonna judge let's try it. It is actually quite umami. And although the texture is not bouncy like you would get for hagao, corn dumpling, or pork dumpling, it's got the sort of a flavor that you get from those sorts of meat dumplings without the meat actually being in there. The vegetables are a little bit fibrous. You do have to chew it a little bit to get through it. But on the first bite, it's very soft. And it separates quite nicely if you bite it in half like I did. Otherwise, it's not too bad. It's very tender. Even though I was a little skeptical about the skin being on top and how much there was, it wasn't noticeable as I ate it, so I approve. I like this one. This one is flaky pastry filled with turnip. It smells really good. You can tell they make these fresh to order. The flavor is very light, and the sesame gives it a sweetness, which I really like. The combination of the pastry with a little bit of a watery turnip makes the whole bite a little bit mushy. In terms of the flavor, it's quite nice. The turnip is naturally sweet, and the pastry is a little bit sweet as well. You can tell the quality of all the ingredients that they use is really, really good. But in terms of the texture, it kind of lowers the enjoyment of it a little bit, and I wish there was a bit more salt. But otherwise, I can see why this is a favorite amongst a lot of the customers here. If I put a little bit of chili or soy sauce, I think it would make it a lot nicer. I really like turnip, so despite everything that I criticized about it, I actually really like this one. In fact, it might be my favorite one out of all of the non-steamed dishes. I think the flavor is really good.
I really like the flavor.
Especially.
Yeah. This one is the porcini and pumpkin dumpling. I think it's the most interesting sounding dumpling so far. It's really small, but they all tend to be actually. The photo made it out to be huge, like gigantic. Let's try it. It's so soft. It's so fragrant, and it's like a little sweet and a little slow. The mushrooms give it a very good texture. There's bounciness, there's some creaminess from the pumpkin, and crunch from the spring onion as well. So there's a flavor and textural variation in this one. Very interesting. This is my kind of thing. This is the liu sha bao, salted egg yolk custard Dimsum. It's very coconutty. Not that salty, but very eggy, and actually quite sweet. Predominantly sweet coconut, slightly eggy custard. The bun is nice though, very light and fluffy. The texture is amazing. I think so far all the pastries here have been really, really good. The flavor is okay. I don't think it's my favorite liu sha bao in terms of the filling, but definitely the bread is really nice.
I legitimately do not remember what this is. How?
It's a fried rice cake with, I don't know, with peanuts.
So it's green because of seaweed, it's filled with red bean, it's deep fried, and then it's coated with sugar and peanuts. That's a good enough basis to give it a go. That is one of the most interesting things I've had so far in the past couple of months of our trip. So interesting, but like not in a bad way. It's crispy like deep fried mochi, right? And then while you're chewing, it gets quite sweet because of the red bean and the sugary peanut coating. But then right at the end, the seaweed hits you. It's like eating red beans wrapped in crispy nori, sprinkled with peanuts. I didn't know whether I would taste the seaweed or not. It's there, and I don't hate it. It goes really well. There's like some sort of umami, even though it's a sweet dish. It makes it less cloying, less dense, less rich. It's so fun. It's like a roller coaster, like bah, bah, bah. You try it. What do you expect out of this?
I expect it to be like red bean wrapped in nori.
Sprinkled with peanuts.
Sprinkled, that's how you describe it. It's there. if you look for it, it's kind of like the sort of vegetable flavor that you would find in green tea, that but not inherently savory. I'm surprised also, it's really good.
That was actually really good. The quality of everything we ate was really high.
The flavor was really good. It's surprising at how much they incorporated different ingredients to get different flavors to make one complete bite.
Unfortunately, the portions are quite small and the price is a little high, but in terms of how much effort and technique they put into it, I don't mind too much.
I think it's just something you have to be prepared to spend for. And honestly, it was a good meal. Would normally spend this much in New Zealand, I'd say.
Besides that, this is a vegetarian restaurant, so you can order dishes like rice, noodles, soup, and the like.
I personally would recommend the barbecue vegetable pastry. The pastry is amazing. It's so light and so crispy.
I would personally say the turnip pastry. I also really like the mushroom mochi ball deep fried savory thing. In terms of what my favorite is, all of them were really good in very different ways. None of them tasted similar, which is what you tend to find the more dishes you eat at a single yumcha.
As to where you can find this restaurant and the opening hours, you can check out our website article, which will be linked in the description below.
As to where we are now, follow us on Instagram at twinspeakeatgo. We'll see you next time.